Hello Domination community, Domination tips. I'm reporting back with a right awesome topic. Today I want to talk with you about a very underestimated tactic, a war tactic, which was quite better to use in the past. But with some effort you just can compensate the restrictions which are with this tactic. And we want to talk about our dynamite or demolition tactic. Especially players who are playing with a lots of ranged infantry, and I think there are very many players outside which are using ranged infantry, especially players like the Chinese, British like me, the Koreans, but also nearly all other nations except for the French and the Greek, which can use their tanks, have very often a huge amount of ranged infantry, and so mortars, these little bastards over here, are your biggest enemies in the battle. And before the university got released, it was quite easy. There was a simple rule, and the rule was, if you have researched your library, these 2 chapters for your mortars, you can just easily destroy a mortar from another person if you have maxed out your dynamite in the blacksmith at your age, which is 1 age below you. So for example, I have maxed out my industrial age demolition tactic, and I researched both chapters in the library, which nearly everyone does. I don't even know anyone who has not researched these chapters, because they are getting available in the gunpowder age very early and are costing not very much. So when I'm in the industrial age, have maxed out my dynamite, I could, before the university was released, to remind, I could easily destroy all of this level 5 mortars with just one dynamite. You don't have to think about, you don't have to do some mathematic operations to see whether you can just destroy them, and that was very easy. But with the university, you have a very new chapter, because you can just research some defensive hit points for your defensive buildings. Over here you can see I'm currently researching, but you can do 10 times research for 3%. That means in total 10 times 3%, additional 30% hit points for your mortar, and it's quite not obviously how far enemies have researched. It can probably be that some enemies haven't even researched any chapter of this 10, but it's possible that there are some enemies which have researched all of the 10 chapters. So that makes a difference of about 30%, and this can definitely decide about a win or about a lose in a war if you decide to demolish one mortar with your tactic and you see, oh, damn it, I could not completely demolish it, I need 2 tactics instead of only 1. And I did a little graphic for you. And this graphic perfectly shows to you all of my mathematical operations I did, and you can see every possible constellation of mortar hit points which are available. I also considered all stages of the defensive coalition for World War, the Egyptian coalition. I'm not quite sure whether there are 6 stages of the Egyptian coalition, but I know there are 5. I think there are 6. I'm not quite sure, but I also did the researches and the mathematical operations for stage 6, if there is a stage 6. Let's get through it together. I will explain everything to you. Hopefully you can read and understand everything. You can take a screenshot to analyze it for yourself. We will start in the first column, and you can see over here is listed the age in which the mortar is. You see the gunpowder age, enlightenment, industrial, and the global age. Also the stage of the mortar, which is due to the age. So level 4 is gunpowder, 5 enlightenment, 6 industrial, and 7 logically the global age. Then we have some pictures over here so that you can differentiate. This is a level 4 gunpowder mortar, enlightenment, industrial, and global age mortar, so that you can differentiate visually between all of these mortars, because sometimes I hear from players which think it's very hard to differentiate between stage 4 and stage 5, for example, or 6 and 7. So the next column, standard hit points. You see, this is the standard column, which is equal to DomiNations wiki, and these hit points are the standard or basic hit points from the mortars depending on their ages, which when you have researched no additional hit points from nowhere. So I think nearly everyone researched this chapter, because if you are in the gunpowder age, when I was in the gunpowder age, it was one of my first researches I did. Therefore, I only noted down the maxed out values for the library. you see the values in this little gray chart or this little gray row, and you can see you can two times research 10% in your library, and that means that you will get in the gunpowder age from 2520 to 2824, from this to this in enlightenment, this to this in industrial, and this to this in global age. These are the values you can get by researching the maximum from your library. But now it's getting interesting, because the university got as an additional boost to our researchable chapters, and for all guys which are asking themselves how these values are coming to be what they are, you always, these are no cumulated values, so it does not mean that this additional 30% are getting added to this 20% which are already on it. You always are only taking the percentages from the standard hit points. So that means the library research will give you additional 20% from the standard hit points. The maximum university research will give you 30%, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, so all stages, additional percent also from the standard hit points. So don't cumulate them up, just only add them. That means that if you have done 10 of 10, I wrote it down, 10 of 10, so that if I would have done all of the stages, stage 1, stage 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 10, it would be very unclearly to see this chart. So I only did the last and maximum university research, and then you can see we can get to a maximum in the ordinary game without blessings and without the World War, without coalitions. We can get in the gunpowder age to a maximum hit point amount of 2,280, in the enlightenment age 2,730, in the industrial 3,409, and in the global age to 3,757. These are the maxed out values without blessings and without coalitions. But now when it's getting to the World War, where it's interesting to get rid of some mortars, there are defensive coalitions, and now you have to add some values. We have over here the Egyptian coalitions, and the Egyptian coalition is granting you a hit point bonus on your defensive buildings, so also on your mortars, and depending on the stage of research or upgrade, the Egyptian coalition can grant you a bonus from about 15% to about 25%, I think. That means to the actual stage of research from your enemy, you have to add these values. So if you are playing against an enemy which is in the gunpowder age, and then you have to see, okay, his value can only depend or can only be between 1,520 and 2,280. And then you have to see, okay, he has a level 2 defensive coalition of the Egyptians, then I maximum can add this value. So he can be maximum at a value of 2,539, I think. And so you can just make some mathematical operations and know what chances you have, or whether you have at least one chance to destroy one of his mortars with only one single demolition, or whether it's not useful to take any demolitions with you to destroy some mortars. So guys, take a screenshot for yourself. I hope it's helping you. At least I wrote down in this row that you can get at least only additional hit points for your mortar of about 50%. This 50% consists out of the 20% from the library, additional 30% from the university, that makes 50%, and in the World War 15 up to 25%. That means if you have activated your strongest World War coalition and done all researches, your mortar has 75% more hit points than an ordinary mortar would have. I hope I did not miss any point. If you have any points, any questions, concernings about this graphic, just wrote it down in the comment section. Please give me a feedback whether this was helpful for you. I had about 3 hours to get to all of these verbs. I have to research them in DomiNations wiki. I have to ask some other members from my alliance, hey, how are these verbs, these values? And so it took me 4 hours to get to create this graphic. Hopefully I will get a like from you because you like the video, but please don't forget to rate the video and give me a comment. Guys, we'll see you soon. Your DomiNation tips.